Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be learning how to make this overlap dress with side pocket. This is the material I'll be using for the project. So let's get started. So the first thing you need to know is that the half length of this particular dress has to come down a bit. Like it should be around the navel because of the pocket. Okay, so after that you start drafting. So this is my half length. My half length is 17. As you can see, this is my chest point, this is my um under bust. So I marked 4 inches here, 5 inches here. So this 5 inches is going to serve as my overlap. So your overlap depends on what you want. It can be 5 inches, it can be 6 inches, but it shouldn't be less than your nipple to nipple point. That is, if your nipple to nipple point is 8 inches, so the half of 8 inches is 4. It shouldn't be less than 4 in that case. Hope you get what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do now is I will just go ahead and highlight this line so that we can see. So this 5 inch line is going to be our starting point. This is where I will start marking my measurement. So the next thing I'll do now is to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2 from this point. So this is going to be our center front now. My shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2, I will have 7.5. So I'll go ahead and mark 7.5 all the way here. I'm going to be rushing this because this is what we have done before. Okay. So the next thing, which is another important thing I want to do now, is the neckline. For you not to, for the neckline not to be too opened, you have to know how to measure your neckline. Okay. So for me, I'll be using 4 inches. I'll use 4 inches for the neck width. Then I will use 7 inches for the neck depth. You know that it is a V neckline. As much as you want it to be a bit open, and at the same time we don't want it to be too open, so that it's going to be nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this to the half length, then I'll connect it back to my neck width. So when you are connecting it to the half length, you have to be very careful so that you are not going to take part of this 5 inches that I left here. So that is one of the reasons why overlap top usually open. That is one of the reasons why it's usually open around there. If you have already taken much of the extension you added, it's going to be open. Then I'll go ahead and connect it. So I'll be using my ruler now to connect it to my neck width. So with this, it's not going to be open, okay? The next thing is to place my shoulder slope, come down by 1 inch, then I'll connect it to my neck width. After that, I want to place my armhole. I'll look for this midpoint of this, which is 3.5. I'll come in by half an inch. Then I'll place my armhole. So I'll connect this to this and this, just like this. Hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm still going to highlight it with my marker. So let me just do that now. I'm done highlighting. The next thing is to increase your body measurement. This is the bust and your waist, right? So my bust is 36 divided by 4. That's 9 inches. My waist is 31 divided by 4. I will have 7.75. Then I will add 1 inch for that intake. So that is going to give me 8.75. Then I'll connect. Then I don't really have much to do about the upper part. It's this skirt part that we have much to do. So this is the front bodies. This is the front bodies. Then I'll go ahead and create my back bodies. That's the way we normally create the back bodies. That is the way you are going to create your back bodies. I'll just continue what I'm doing. I'm not going to be explaining that because it's is what we already know before. The reason why I explained this is because of the overlap that we have there. Okay, so I'll just create my back bodice now, and I'll go to the skirt part. For the skirt part now, what you are going to do is you are going to minus the half length away from your length, which I have done, and this is the beginning. This is where my skirt part is going to be starting from, and I've added my allowance accordingly. So the next thing is to determine your hip depth. So usually hip depth is always between 8 inches and 9 inches, but for this person I'll be using 9 inches because of the allowance, half inch intake allowance that we use to join into the upper part. So you can just cross check it. You can also use 25 inches as your hip depth. Okay, so as you can see here, I have 17 before, and this is 25.5. 25.5. By the time I take half inch as my joining allowance, it's going to make up for 20 inches. Okay, after doing that, I'll go ahead and measure my knee length, which is my angle, so that is where we are going to shape it so that the dress is going to be fitted. And for me, for this person, it is 35 and a half. So with joining allowance, I'll be marking 36. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to input my measurement. So I'll first of all draft the skirt part first before we start drafting the pocket. So waist divided by 2, if waist measurement divided by 4, which is 8.75 plus 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'll be having 10.75. Then my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance also. So my hip is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. So I'll be having 12.5 here. So whatever you have here, you are going to minus 1 when you get to the knee length here, so that the dress will be fitted. So I'll minus 1. So I'll be having 11.5. Can do 1.5, but most times I advise that you do 1, especially for people that have a big thigh. If you do 1.5, it's going to be too tight for them. But people that does not have big thigh, 1.5 is still okay for them. So to be on a safe side, it's better for you to do 1 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect my lines together now. My waist to the hip and to the knee. So after connecting it together, I'll be using this front piece to cut out my back piece. All I'll just do is I'll be adding allowance for my zipper. I will add 1.5 inch as my zipper allowance. Then I'll show you how to draft the pocket. So I'll be cutting the back piece off camera. So all you just have to do is at the center back, add 1.5 inch as your zipper allowance, and that's all. So I'm done cutting the back piece also. So this is where my zipper allowance started from. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be reducing this place at the upper part by 0.75, and the reason why I am doing this is because I want to eliminate any form of bulge. By the time I fix my zipper, I don't want the zipper to have bulge. So by doing this, your zipper is not going to be having bulge. So on the skirt part, you eliminate 0.5 to 0.75, and on the top part, which is the upper part, you eliminate 0.5 also at the center back. Okay, so I've done for the skirt, and I'm going to be doing the same thing for the top. This is my top. This is the top, the upper part, right? So I will just eliminate half an inch at this center back. So with this, so by the time you measure half an inch, just connect it to wherever it stops, and you are good to go. So just cut it out. With this, you are not going to be having any form of bulge at the center back by the time you fix your zipper. So I'll set this aside now so that we can work on the front skirt part, which you want to make our pocket. So I'll set this aside. The first thing I'll do is I'm going to be marking the allowance I left, which is 2 inches. So I'll mark it like so. Then I'll connect it together. So after marking it, the next thing I'll do is to mark 2 inches, another 2 inches, which is going to serve as my pocket opening. Then the length is going to be 6 inches. You can use 5.5, you can use 6 inches. So I prefer to use 6 inches. So what I'll do is I'll connect these 2 inches points. This 2 inches point, I hope you can see what I'm doing, to this 6 inches. You can make use of your straight ruler. You can use your freehand and you can also use your curved ruler. You can see what I'm just doing. I'm just trying to curve it. So I've curved it to this part. So I will extend it to the side seam wherever it gets to. So we are still going to be cutting this part out. But before we cut it out, I'll be cutting the pocket bag. Now for you to cut the pocket bag, you can measure 8 inches. You can measure 6 inches rather, or 5.5, because this is a dress, a fitted dress. Then the length, I'll be using 10.5 as the length of my pocket bag. So at the end of the day, what I'm going to be cutting out as my pocket bag is going to look like this. Can you see? So this is my pocket bag. So at the end of the day, this is what I'm cutting out as my pocket bag. So I'll be cutting two out. That is, one is going to be having opening, while the second one is not going to be having opening. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So one of the pocket bags we have opening, the second one will not have opening. So I first of all cut the one that will not have opening before I cut out my skirt part here, okay? Place the material I'm using for the first pocket bag and place it under, which is this brown material. So what I'm going to do is I'll pin it down, then trace out the shape of the side seam. So that is why I place it under, so that I can trace out the shape of the side seam. After tracing it out, this is where I want it to stop. So I'll measure, I'll mark that point, then I'll cut out the remaining one. Okay, I'll set this aside now, then I'll work on the pocket opening. So we are going to be cutting the second pocket bag with the Ankara fabric. So for the second pocket bag that is going to be having the pocket opening, that is where the hand is going to enter. I've placed it under. I cut the same size as the one that does not have pocket opening. So what I'll just do is I'll be cutting it together with the Ankara fabric. So I'll cut it together like this. You can see that I didn't cut on the line that I marked before because of allowance. That was why I didn't cut on that line. So this is how it's going to look like after, by the time we finish sewing. This is how it's going to be. The This is how it's going to look like after we finish sewing. This is going to be showing. Then I'll still go ahead and tape. I'll be adding taping to this outside, the outside of the fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut another one just like this. Let me use this pocket bag with opening to explain that. So we are going to be cutting another one that we have this same opening, right? Then you measure whatever you want as the taping. So for me, I'll be marking 3 inches. So basically I'll mark 3 inches all the way around, just like this. Okay, so let me show us. I'll mark the 3 inches all the way like this. Can you see? Then this is what I'll use to be taping the pocket opening, just pocket outside. It's just for design, as you can see in the picture. So I'll go ahead and do this off camera, then I'll show you what I have. So for the sleeve now, you'll be cutting it as if you want to cut a 360-degree flare. So what I'll do is I'll mark the length I want. The length I want is 11. Yeah, length I want is 11. So I'll mark 11 plus my allowance. You can see that this is on fold already. So I'm still going to fold this way so that it's going to be four. So I'll mark it just like this. So I have 13 here. The reason why I mark 13 is because of when I want to create the armhole, okay? So I'll just mark another 13 like this. Then I'll create a small circle here so that we can use to create our armhole. So what I will do is I'll be marking 2.5 inches. I'll mark 2.5 inches all the way around first. After marking that, I'll go ahead and measure it to know if it's going to be enough for my armhole, okay? So you know that this is into 4. So basically, I'll be dividing my armhole measurement into 4. So that is what I will be doing. My armhole measurement is 18 divided by 4. I'll be having 4.5. So I'll measure what I have here. I have to have at least 4.5. Yes, I have 4.25 here. I'm still going to extend it a bit so that it to make up the 4.5, because we are still going to pleat it. So I'm still going to show us how I'm going to get the excess we are using to pleat. Okay. So the next thing is just to measure the length of my arm, of my sleeve, since I have my armhole measurement now. So I'm marking 10 inches. I have reduced the sleeve length because of the fabric. The fabric is not enough. So I'm marking 10 inches all the way around. I'm cutting out one sleeve. This is one sleeve. So I'll be cutting out the second sleeve with the Ankara fabric. So I'll cut this out first as a circle. Then we are going to moderate it afterwards. Before I cut out the cone part, which is here, I'll be cutting out one side of the cone. I'm not cutting the two, as you can see. I'll cut out one side. After cutting out one side, this is where it stops. So on this side, this is the side I want to use to do my armhole. So I'll come down by 3 inches. I'll come down by 2, you can come down by 3. But for me, I'll come down by 3 inches. Then I'll connect it back to this place. Can you see what I'm doing? I'll connect it back to this place. With this, I will have pleats. And the reason why I'm doing this is because this place is going to be serving as my armhole side. That is where I'm going to be joining to my armhole so that my flare can be equal by the time I join it to my armhole. Because if I don't do this, the flare will not be equal by the time I join it to my armhole. One is going to be looking longer than the other. So this is what we have now. I'm still going to trim it a bit because I don't think this is even up to 2 inches, but the least you are going to cut out is 2 inches. So I'll trim it more to have my 2 inches. So with this, I will have my pleat, and at the same time my flare is going to be equal by the time I join it together. So I need to notch this part to know that this is my armpit side. So by the time I join it together like this, let me show us. You can see that it is equal. The flare is going to be equal, but if I did not cut this part, cut out 2 inches from this part is going to be longer. So that is why you need to do that. So I'll go ahead and cut this out on the Ankara fabric for the second sleeve. Then I'll cut out my lining also, just like this flare. After that, we go ahead to sew. So the first part I'll be working on the sewing machine is the skirt part, and is the front part of the skirt. So the first thing I'll do is this design we have here, the taping we have here, I'll pin it down like this as I have done here. Pin it down, then you go ahead and fold it in. So you can as well add interfacing to this to give it stability, and you can also iron it down, iron half an inch all the way around on this edge first, then you place it here to sew. So whatever suits you. So what I will just go ahead and do is I will be folding it by half an inch all round. Then I'll just run a stitch here to hold it down. After that, I'll take my pocket bag, the one with the pocket opening. This is the one with the pocket opening. I'll place it here, then I'll sew it like this. Then I'll also stop stitch it, then we continue. Next, this is what I have now. Can you see? This is the outside and this is the inside. So make sure you can iron it first so that it can lay properly. But if you don't have ironing at your disposal, just make sure it lays. You can pin it down. So the next thing is to take the second pocket bag without the pocket opening, which is this. Make sure you must have notched the one that is at by the side and the upper part, which I have done. You can see my notch point. So what I'll do is I'll place it on it like this by the side. I'll make sure that the side is equal, okay, and this side also is equal. The reason why this side is not equal is because the fabric is not equal, okay. So I'll just place it by the side like this. So I'll pin it down first by the side. After pinning it down, I want to sew this inside. I want my sewing to be inside. I do not want it to be outside. Likewise, this side too. I want my sewing to be inside. So what I will be doing is I'll be sewing it. I will be facing wrong side, facing wrong side. You know, this is right side facing right side. So I'll place it otherwise, wrong side facing wrong side. So by the time I join it wrong side facing wrong side, the sewing of these edges is going to be inside, okay. But if you want your sewing to be outside, it's just right side facing right side like this. All you just have to do is lift it up before stitching it by the side, sew half an inch, okay, sew half an inch all the way and you are good to go. And another thing that you need to know is that by the side here, by this pocket opening side, you need to measure what you have there in order to cross check. You know that we took 2 inches, abi no, yeah, we took 2 inches and we've already used 2 inches as our seam allowance, so making 2.5 inches, and my side seam is 2.5, 2 inches rather. So this is what I have. So this is too much. It's supposed to be 4.5. Yeah, this is okay. I'm supposed to have 4.5 years. So all these little things are things that will make your clothes come out nice or not. So you have to measure, you have to cross check. So I will turn it in now to look at what I have. You can see that by the time I adjusted it at the front, this is already has adjusted. So you have to take note of that. So you not just say that because you have excess, you cut it out immediately. No, take note of all these things and take it back to the front to measure so that you'll be sure that you are doing the right thing. So I'll just go ahead and run a stitch here. I'll turn it one side facing one side. So I'll remove this pin basically. So wrong side facing one side like this so that I can turn it. So I'll sew it all the way. You can see that I'm yet to add my lining. That is because I want the pocket seam and everything to be inside. So somebody that will turn the cloth outside, inside, we don't know that there is any pocket there unless the person fits hand into the pocket. You will not be seeing the pocket back outside. That is what I'm just trying to do here, basically. Is what I have now. What I'll just do is I'll run a stitch by the side here, and at the upper part here I'll run another stitch. So you have to make sure that it is stable, okay. You have to make sure that your pocket side is stable. So I'll just pin this down and I'll run a stitch on it. You can see this now. This is looking so beautiful already. If you can add interface to your pocket design, go ahead and do that, okay. So by the time I add my lining to it, this pocket bag is going to be invisible. It's the lining you'll be seeing. So that is why I did this before adding my lining. So after doing this, I'll just go ahead and add my lining to it. If you have watched this video to this point, kindly subscribe to my channel, turn on your post notifications so that you can get notified whenever I drop new videos, and do not forget to like this particular video, comment and share. I'm gonna like to give it a very good press. You can see that it's flatter now, and I also did the same to the pocket bag in order to make it flat. So I also went ahead to create a crease to the center of my skirt part. You know, we are still working on the front skirt, and this is the center, in order to put this taping that is at the center. And I went ahead to cut 1.5 inch of this doll face unfold. I cut 1.5 unfold, and I make sure that I mark iron the center to have a crease also, as you can see here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'll be placing the center of the doll face to the center of the skirt part, then I'll pin it down in order to tape it with it. So I'll be folding the doll face by 1/2 inch on both sides. So at the end of the day, I'll be having 2 inches of this taping at the center of the skirt part. So you have to pin it down so that it's not going to shift when you are sewing. So I'll just go ahead and pin it down. You can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to locate the center so that it's going to align, so that one is not going so that it's not going to tilt to one side more than the other. So locate the center of both of them and place them together, then go ahead and fold it in. And you can also decide to fold this strip before adding it, like this. You can also decide to use your iron to fold it in by 1/2 inch on both sides, whichever way. So just need to know your center, that is just it. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and run a stitch on it, then I'll be folding it by 1/2 inch on both sides, in order to have 1 inch on each side. So I'm done joining it to it. So by the time I want to iron, I'll be ironing this crease out. And this is how the inside looks like. Can you see the inside? So I'll add my lining to it now. So by the time I add my lining, all this is not going to be showing inside. And that is the beauty of a neatly made dress. This is one of the things that is going to differentiate you from other tailors or designer, whatever you call yourself. So just try and follow this process to have a very neat finishing. So everything is going to be inside. So I'll go ahead and add the lining to both the front and the back skirt part. Then we start with the upper bodies. I'm very sure we will know how to add lining to it. So I'll turn the down part, the sides and all of that. And if you want to do a French inseam finishing, whereby you sew your lining separately, you sew your fabric separately, go ahead and do that. But for me, I'll be using a French finishing for this particular dress. So I'm done turning the lining of the skirt part. So the next thing to do is to turn the lining of the front part, of the upper part. Now for the front part, remember that I marked 5 inches before I started marking my actual measurement, which is this notched point. It is very important. You have to notch that point. If you use 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, whatever you use as the overlap, you need to mark that point. Okay, so I've already marked it. So what I'll do now is to turn the neckline, and I'll just turn the lining basically. After turning the lining, I'll be creating my dart. Now by the time I want to create my dart, this notch point is going to be serving as my center front. So I'll be folding it in like this. Okay, I'll fold it in like this. Then I'll measure my nipple to nipple point in order to create my dart. And after that, I want to show us this. You can see that by the time I fold it, this place is straight, but this place is not equal. You need to trim it out a bit. This is as a result of the V shape that we have here. That is why this place is not equal. If you leave it this way, your neckline is not going to be balanced. So you need to trim out this place a bit. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So I'll be trimming it out a bit so that by the time we overlap it on each other, is going to be balanced. So you can just take half an inch or 0.75 and you are good to go. You can see. So this is it. Let me fold it now so that you see the difference. You can see that by the time I fold it now, it is equal. This place is straight and this place also is equal. This particular thing I did now, this trimming is something that is important, or else your neckline is not going to be balanced. Okay, so go ahead and do that. So I'll turn my lining, I'll add my dart, and I'll do the same for the back also. Then we'll come back to join them together. So I'm gonna have to turn the lining and I've added my dart as you can see. So the next thing is to overlap the two pieces together. So it now depends on you if you want the entire fabric to be showing at the upper part or the plain fabric, whatever you want, it depends on you. So I'll be overlapping them together at this notch point, which is our center front. So what I'm going to do basically is to place it on top of each other like this at the center front. Then I'll run a stitch on it. I run a stitch on it in order to hold it down. And if you are using only one fabric, so you can determine if you want the overlap to be on the left side or you want it to be on the right side. So whichever one is okay. You can see that with this now, our neck is not going to be too open and it's not going to be too close by the time the owner wears it, because this person does not want to reveal cleavage at all. So it's not going to be too open and at the same time it's not going to be too close. So I'll just go ahead and run a stitch on it to hold both of them together. Then I'll join it to the skirt part of my dress of the front. So this is the skirt part. So I'll join it to the skirt part and I'll do the same for the back piece also. I will join the back piece to the skirt part and I will add my zipper to the back piece. So I'll be doing all of this off camera. So by the time I'm done, we're just going to be joining it on the shoulder and at the side seam. Next thing is to join the shoulder of the front and the back together. As you can see, I've added my zipper to the back. So I'll join the shoulder together and I'll go ahead and join the side seam with my measurement. So for the side seam, you're just going to divide your joining the side seam together. We are now going to be working on our sleeve. Okay, so I will join the shoulder now. I will join my side seam. Then we are going to work on the sleeve. So I'm done joining the side and I'm gonna need to iron it. Can you see how beautiful it is? Now we are working on the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I'm gonna need to turn it. So I used the lining to turn the down part, then I went ahead to iron it. Can you see how it is? So the next thing is to join the sleeve to the dress. Now this is, remember where we notch while cutting, the part that is short. So this is going to be on my armhole area. So what I'm going to do is I will use a pin to identify it just like this. After that, then I will identify the center also, which is going to fall on my shoulder point. Okay, so what I'm going to do basically now is to pleat it. So I'll take it to the dress itself, then I'll pleat the excess around the shoulder. So this is what I have afterwards. Can you see the sleeve? So I added some pleats here and this is how it looks like. So I couldn't wear it on my mannequin because the size is smaller than my mannequin. Can you see? So this is the pocket. So that's it, guys.